Welcome back to Gone Legends. Today, we honor and remember American stars who have passed away recently. Their contributions to film, music, and culture will never be forgotten. In this video, we will take the time to pay tribute to their lives, their legacies, and the unforgettable memories they leave behind. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to Gone Legends and turn on notifications so you never miss a chance to join us in remembering the icons who shaped our world. Shelley Alexis Duvall was born on July 7, 1949, in Houston, Texas. From her earliest years, she displayed a curiosity and creativity that would later define her artistic career. Raised in a middle-class family, she never initially saw herself as destined for Hollywood. Yet, fate had a different plan, and Shelley would go on to become one of the most unique and unforgettable actresses in American cinema. Her journey to stardom was unconventional, her roles distinctive, and her presence on screen utterly irreplaceable. Shelley's entrance into the world of acting came in the most unexpected way. While attending a party in Houston, she was discovered by filmmaker Robert Altman's team. Altman saw something extraordinary in her, a striking look, a voice like no other, and an authenticity that couldn't be taught. She was soon cast in Altman's 1970 film Brewster McCloud. This marked the beginning of a creative partnership that would span several years. Altman would cast her in multiple projects, including McCabe and Mrs. Miller, 1971, Thieves Like Us, 1974, and most memorably, Three Women, 1977. In Three Women, Duvall's performance as Millie Lamerose was hailed as nothing short of brilliant. She captured the quiet loneliness, the longing, and the vulnerability of her character with a depth that earned her the Cannes Film Festival Award for Best Actress. It was a role that cemented her as a formidable presence in Hollywood. Of course, no discussion of Shelley Duvall's career would be complete without mentioning Stanley Kubrick's 1980 psychological horror masterpiece The Shining. In the role of Wendy Torrance, she delivered a performance that has since become iconic, though it came at a tremendous personal cost. Working under Kubrick was notoriously grueling, and Shelley endured take after take in emotionally exhausting scenes. Reports say that she performed some scenes over 100 times, enduring relentless pressure. While the process was mentally and physically taxing, leaving her drained and even ill during filming, it resulted in one of the most unforgettable portrayals in horror film history. Her wide-eyed fear, trembling voice, and desperate vulnerability as Wendy remain etched in the minds of audiences. Even decades later, critics continue to praise her courage and emotional authenticity in that role. What some at the time dismissed as hysteria was, in truth, an extraordinary performance of raw, unfiltered humanity. Yet Shelley was far more than just The Shining. She possessed a versatility that allowed her to step into comedic, dramatic, and even whimsical roles. In Popeye, 1980, she starred as Olive Oyl alongside Robin Williams. With her lanky frame and expressive features, Shelley was simply born for the role. Her Olive Oyl was funny, quirky, and full of charm, another example of how she could take a character and make it entirely her own. In the 1980s, Shelley pivoted in her career, taking on a new role as a producer and host. She created the acclaimed children's television series Fairy Tale Theater, which brought classic fairy tales to life with star-studded casts. Running from 1982 to 1987, the series featured performers like Robin Williams, Mick Jagger, and Susan Sarandon, offering a mix of humor, heart, and timeless storytelling. It was beloved by children and adults alike, showcasing Shelley's ability not just to perform, but also to imagine and create. Later, she would produce Tall Tales and Legends and Nightmare classics, further proving her dedication to storytelling in all its forms. Despite her successes, Shelley's life was not without its struggles. As the years went on, she gradually stepped away from Hollywood. By the 1990s, she began retreating from public life, choosing instead a quieter existence in Texas. Her absence from the spotlight only deepened the intrigue around her. In 2016, Shelley appeared on television for the first time in years during a controversial interview on Dr. Phil. Many viewers were shocked and concerned about her fragile state, sparking debates about mental health, the exploitation of celebrities, and the responsibilities of media platforms. While the interview was troubling, it also reignited a wave of support for Shelley, with fans and fellow actors rallying to protect her dignity and legacy. It reminded the world of the human being behind the roles, a sensitive soul who had given so much of herself to her art. Shelley Duvall passed away in 2025 at the age of 75, leaving behind a legacy that is both haunting and inspiring. She was not a traditional star in the Hollywood sense. She did not fit neatly into categories, nor did she chase fame in the way many others did. Instead, she carved her own path, embraced the unconventional, and left behind performances that cannot be duplicated. She was authentic, fearless in her vulnerability, and unapologetically unique. Her influence is evident in the generations of actors who followed. Young actresses have often cited her bravery and individuality as an inspiration. Filmmakers continue to study her work, noting her ability to inhabit a character fully, without vanity or pretense. From her earliest roles with Robert Altman to her heartbreaking performance in The Shining and her whimsical turns in Popeye and fairy tale theater, Shelley gave the world characters that were unforgettable. Tributes poured in following her passing. Fans recalled watching her on late-night television, growing up with her fairy tale productions, or being terrified by her performance in Kubrick's classic. Fellow actors spoke of her generosity, her warmth, and her singular presence on screen. While her career may have quieted in later years, her impact never diminished. If anything, the mystique around Shelley Duvall only grew stronger, making her a true cult figure in American cinema. To remember Shelley is to remember the power of vulnerability on screen. She was not afraid to look fragile, to show fear, or to embody awkwardness. In doing so, she connected with audiences in a way that polished, glamorous stars sometimes could not. She reminded us that real humanity, its imperfections, its anxieties, its longing, has a place in art. And perhaps that is why, decades after her greatest performances, she is still remembered, still admired, and still loved. Shelley Duvall was more than just an actress. She was a pioneer, a dreamer, and a storyteller. She walked away from Hollywood not because she had nothing left to give, but perhaps because she had already given everything she could. Her body of work remains, timeless and essential, a testament to an artist who gave us truth through her characters. Rest in peace, Shelley Duvall. The world of film is richer for having had you, and though you are gone, your voice, your presence, and your legacy will continue to inspire for generations to come. Charles Richard Moll was born on January 13, 1943, in Pasadena, California. Standing at an imposing 6 feet 8 inches tall, Richard possessed a physical presence that was both intimidating and endearing. His height and deep voice would become trademarks of his career, but behind that towering figure was a gentle, humorous, and talented man who dedicated decades of his life to entertaining audiences across television, film, and voice acting. Richard grew up in Southern California, where he developed a love for performance early in life. He attended the University of California, Berkeley, where he studied history before deciding to pursue acting. With his distinctive looks and powerful presence, he was quickly noticed by casting directors who saw in him the potential for unique and memorable characters. In 1977, Moll appeared in his first feature film, Brigham, a low-budget biography of Brigham Young. Though the role was small, it gave him the experience and exposure he needed. Over the following years, he worked steadily, appearing in guest roles on television shows and minor film appearances. His big break came in 1984 when he was cast in NBC's sitcom Night Court as Aristotle Nostradamus Bull Shannon, the lovable and towering court bailiff. Bull Shannon was written as a quirky, dim-witted, yet big-hearted character. Richard Moll brought him to life in a way that no one else could. His booming voice, bald head, and enormous stature made him stand out instantly, but it was his warmth, comedic timing, and humanity that made Bull so beloved. Week after week, audiences tuned in not just for the courtroom antics, but to see Bull's charming innocence and often hilarious one-liners. Moll's performance earned him a place in the hearts of millions and solidified his status as a household name throughout the 1980s and early 1990s. While Night Court was his defining role, Richard Moll's career extended far beyond that sitcom. He appeared in cult horror films like House, 1985, where he portrayed Big Ben, a menacing Vietnam War veteran's ghost, a role that showed his versatility in playing both comedic and terrifying figures. He also had memorable appearances in The Flintstones, 1994, Scary Movie 2, 2001, and countless television shows including Highlander, Smallville, and Married with Children. One of Moll's most celebrated contributions outside of live-action work was his voice acting. With a voice that could command both power and menace, he found success in animated series. He voiced Two-Face in Batman, the animated series during the 1990s, a role that has remained one of the most iconic interpretations of the character. Fans praised the depth and duality he brought to the role, conveying the tortured soul of Harvey Dent and the cold cruelty of his alter ego. His voice work extended into other projects, including Spider-Man, the animated series, Justice League, and Mighty Max, further proving his versatility as an actor. Despite his fame, Richard Moll was often described by colleagues and friends as humble, kind, and deeply professional. He never let his height or booming presence overshadow his humor and warmth. On the set of Night Court, cast members frequently spoke about how he kept the mood light and encouraged camaraderie among the ensemble. Fans who met him at conventions and public appearances recalled his graciousness and his delight in engaging with people who admired his work. Off-screen, Moll lived a relatively private life. He was married twice and was a devoted father to his children. He enjoyed painting, reading, and spending time in nature. While he continued to act well into the 2000s, he eventually slowed down his career, preferring a quieter lifestyle away from Hollywood's spotlight. Richard Moll passed away in 2025 at the age of 82, leaving behind an incredible body of work and a legacy of laughter. To millions of fans, he will always be Bull Shannon, the gentle giant who could make us laugh with a glance or a perfectly delivered line. But beyond Bull, he was an actor of immense range, capable of moving seamlessly between comedy, drama, horror, and voice work. His career demonstrated that even actors who do not fit the typical Hollywood mold can carve out a unique and lasting place in the industry. Tributes following his death poured in from fellow actors, fans, and industry colleagues. Many remembered his kindness, his professionalism, and his ability to make people feel at ease. The Night Court reboot in 2023 brought renewed attention to his beloved character, and even though Richard was not a part of the revival, fans felt his presence in spirit. The enduring love for Bull Shannon speaks volumes about Moll's impact on television and comedy. To remember Richard Moll is to remember a man who embraced his uniqueness and turned it into an asset. He showed that strength could be paired with gentleness, that comedy could be balanced with humanity, and that even the most physically imposing figure could carry the softest heart. His performances made us laugh, made us think, and, at times, made us shiver with fear when he took on darker roles. That range is the mark of a true actor. Richard Moll's legacy is one of joy, generosity, and dedication to his craft. His voice, his presence, and his kindness will be deeply missed, but his performances will live on forever in reruns, films, and the cherished memories of fans around the world. Rest in peace, Richard Moll. You may have stood taller than most in life, but in our hearts, you will always be remembered as a gentle giant who brought light and laughter to so many. Toby Keith Koval, known professionally as Toby Keith, was born on July 8, 1961, in Clinton, Oklahoma. He grew up in a modest household where music was always present. From an early age, Toby was drawn to the sound of classic country and honky-tonk, spending hours listening to the records of legends like Merle Haggard, Hank Williams Jr., and Willie Nelson. His love for music was matched only by his determination to make something of himself, and from those humble beginnings, he rose to become one of the most influential and recognizable figures in modern country music. Toby's journey to stardom was not immediate. After graduating high school, he worked in the oil fields of Oklahoma and played semi-professional football, all while performing with his band, Easy Money, in local honky-tonks. His big break came in the early 1990s when he traveled to Nashville and eventually signed with Mercury Records. In 1993, he released his debut single, Should Have Been a Cowboy. which skyrocketed to #1 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart. That single not only launched his career but went on to become the most played country song of the 1990s. With its catchy melody and nostalgic lyrics, it announced Toby Keith as a powerful new voice in country music. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, Toby Keith released hit after hit, building a reputation as one of the genre's most consistent hitmakers. Songs like How Do You Like Me Now?, Beer for My Horses, a duet with Willie Nelson, and I Love This Bar became staples of modern country radio. His distinctive baritone voice, larger-than-life personality, and ability to craft songs that spoke to everyday people made him a star not just in country music, but across American popular culture. One of his most controversial and defining moments came in 2002 with the release of Courtesy of the Red, White and Blue, The Angry American. Written in the wake of the September 11th attacks, the song was both a patriotic anthem and a fiery statement of American resolve. While critics debated its blunt lyrics, millions of Americans embraced it as a rallying cry. Toby Keith performed it for U.S. troops around the world, solidifying his image as a proud patriot and supporter of the military. His commitment to the armed forces was not just symbolic. He made countless trips to perform for service members overseas, bringing them comfort, laughter, and a reminder of home during difficult times. Beyond his music, Toby Keith was a successful businessman. He founded his own record label, Show Dog Nashville, in 2005, giving himself and other artists the freedom to create music without industry restrictions. He also expanded his brand with a chain of restaurants called I Love This Bar and Grill, inspired by his hit song. Keith demonstrated that he was not only a gifted entertainer but also a savvy entrepreneur who understood how to connect with his audience both on and off the stage. Toby Keith's career was decorated with accolades. He won multiple Academy of Country Music Awards, Country Music Association Awards, and Billboard Music Awards. He was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2015, a recognition of his ability to craft songs that combine storytelling with accessibility. His discography includes more than 20 studio albums, millions of records sold, and a legacy of songs that continue to resonate with fans around the world. Yet behind the fame and success, Toby remained grounded in his roots. He often spoke about his love for Oklahoma, his family, and his desire to give back. His charitable work was extensive, particularly through the Toby Keith Foundation, which focused on helping children with cancer and their families. The foundation opened the OK Kids Choral in Oklahoma City, a free, comfortable place for children undergoing cancer treatment and their families to stay. This project was one of Keith's proudest achievements, reflecting his compassion and commitment to making a difference beyond music. In 2022, Toby revealed that he had been diagnosed with stomach cancer. Despite the challenges of his illness, he continued to perform when possible, showing resilience and courage in the face of adversity. Fans admired his strength and rallied behind him, offering support and prayers during his treatment. His final performances carried an added weight and poignancy, as audiences knew they were witnessing not just an entertainer, but a man determined to give everything he had until the very end. Toby Keith passed away in 2025 at the age of 64. His death marked the end of an era in country music. He was more than just a singer. He was a storyteller, a patriot, a businessman, a philanthropist, and a voice for ordinary Americans. His songs captured the spirit of small towns, the pride of the working class, and the resilience of a nation during challenging times. Whether he was singing about love, laughter, heartbreak, or patriotism, Toby Keith had a way of making listeners feel understood. Tributes poured in from across the world following his passing. Fellow musicians praised his songwriting, his boldness, and his generosity. Fans shared stories of how his music had been the soundtrack to their lives, played at weddings, family barbecues, road trips, and moments of both joy and sorrow. Military families, in particular, remembered his tireless efforts to support the troops, calling him a true American hero in his own right. Toby Keith's legacy will endure through his music, his businesses, and his philanthropy. He was a man who lived unapologetically, who spoke his mind, and who never forgot where he came from. His voice, rich, powerful, and unmistakable, will continue to echo through country music for generations. Rest in peace, Toby Keith. Your songs, your spirit, and your love for America will never be forgotten. Today, we turn our attention not to a fallen star, but to a man still walking among us. A legend whose journey from a tiny Austrian village to the pinnacle of bodybuilding, Hollywood, politics, and beyond has inspired generations. This is the story of Arnold Schwarzenegger, a man whose life proves that resilience, reinvention, and relentless will can shape destiny itself. Early life in Austria. Arnold Schwarzenegger was born on July 30, 1947, in Thal, a small village near Graz, Austria. His childhood was one of scarcity and hardship. His family lived without basic comforts like indoor plumbing or refrigeration. Winters were cold, work was constant, and expectations were rigid. His father, Gustav Schwarzenegger, a former police officer and strict disciplinarian, favored Arnold's older brother Meinhard. Praise was rare, discipline was frequent, and affection often absent. This environment could have broken a child, but for Arnold, it became fuel. Each slight turned into a vow. Each challenge became a stepping stone toward a vision only he could see. In the quiet of a small movie theater, Arnold discovered America through the silver screen. Tarzan swung across the jungle, cowboys strode across wide landscapes, and muscle-bound heroes graced magazine covers. To Arnold, these images were not just entertainment, they were invitations. He realized that strength could be sculpted, that a body could be both fortress and passport. From this belief, a lifelong mission was born. He would build himself into more than a man. He would build himself into a symbol. The bodybuilding dream. Arnold's first taste of bodybuilding came in his teens. By 15, he had dedicated himself fully to training. He devoured magazines, studied the physiques of champions, and committed to sculpting his own. By 20, he had already won the Mr. Universe title, the youngest ever to do so. This was only the beginning. His determination was legendary. He trained with a precision and obsession that left others in awe. Where others saw pain, Arnold saw progress. Where others rested, he pushed forward. His philosophy was simple but uncompromising. Limits exist only to be broken. In 1968, he moved to America with little money, limited English, and boundless ambition. Joe Weider, the bodybuilding promoter who recognized Arnold's potential, became his mentor and father figure. Under Weider's guidance, Arnold dominated the bodybuilding world. He would go on to win Mr. Olympia 7 times, cementing himself as the greatest bodybuilder of all time. But Arnold never saw bodybuilding as the end. It was always the beginning. A launching pad. A way to announce himself to the world. Hollywood breakthrough. Arnold's charisma extended beyond the stage. He had something many bodybuilders lacked: presence. Hollywood took notice. His early roles were small, but each was a lesson. He studied the industry, refined his English, and prepared himself for the big opportunity. That opportunity came in 1982 with Conan the Barbarian. With his massive frame and commanding aura, Arnold was perfectly cast. The film was a hit, proving that he could carry a movie. 2 years later, The Terminator cemented his place in cinematic history. As the relentless cyborg assassin, Arnold delivered a performance that was chilling and unforgettable. His line, "I'll be back," became one of the most iconic in film history. Success snowballed. Commando, Predator, Total Recall, True Lies, each film added to his legend. He wasn't just an action hero, he was the action hero of a generation. His films dominated the box office, grossing billions worldwide. His combination of physicality, charisma, and humor made him unmatched. Comedy and reinvention. While most action stars stuck to one formula, Arnold dared to reinvent himself. He surprised audiences with comedies like Twins, Kindergarten Cop, and Junior. Instead of mocking him, audiences embraced him. His timing, warmth, and self-awareness made him not just a muscle-bound star but a versatile performer. This reinvention showed that Arnold was not confined to a single role. He was an entertainer in the truest sense. Politics and public service. By the early 2000s, Arnold had conquered bodybuilding and Hollywood. But his ambition reached further. In 2003, he announced his candidacy for governor of California during the historic recall election. Many dismissed it as a publicity stunt. They were wrong. Arnold won decisively, becoming the 38th governor of California. During his 2 terms, from 2003 to 2011, he worked on issues ranging from climate change to healthcare reform. His pragmatic approach earned him both praise and criticism, but he proved that his leadership extended beyond the screen. He championed renewable energy, infrastructure, and bipartisan cooperation, carving out a role as a moderate voice in a polarized political landscape. Arnold's political career showed once again his ability to reinvent himself. He was not just a celebrity dabbling in politics. He was a leader willing to grapple with complex issues and make tough decisions. Personal struggles and redemption. Despite his public triumphs, Arnold's personal life faced turmoil. In 2011, his marriage to Maria Shriver, with whom he had 4 children, ended after revelations of an affair and a child born outside the marriage. The scandal shocked the world and tarnished his image. But over time, Arnold worked to rebuild relationships with his family. His honesty about his failures and his efforts at reconciliation revealed a man willing to confront his flaws and seek redemption. Health challenges also tested him. Arnold underwent multiple heart surgeries due to a congenital valve condition. Each operation was a reminder of his own mortality, but each recovery demonstrated his resilience. Instead of retreating, he used his experiences to advocate for health awareness, turning vulnerability into strength. Legacy and later years. Today, in his late 70s, Arnold Schwarzenegger continues to inspire. Through his newsletter, Arnold's Pump Club, social media presence, and speeches, he shares wisdom on fitness, discipline, and life. He advocates for environmental causes, healthier living, and public service. He remains active in business, philanthropy, and entertainment, proving that relevance is not bound by age. His legacy is vast. In bodybuilding, he redefined what was possible. In Hollywood, he became an icon. In politics, he showed that celebrity could be paired with service. And in life, he demonstrated that reinvention is always possible, no matter the stage of one's journey. Arnold Schwarzenegger is more than a man of muscle, more than a movie star, more than a politician. He is a living legend. His story reminds us that greatness is not about where you start, but how far you are willing to go. It is about persistence, vision, and the courage to reinvent yourself again and again. If you found inspiration in this story, subscribe to Gone Legends for more journeys into the lives of icons who shape our world. And as Arnold himself once said, strength does not come from winning. Your struggles develop your strengths. When you go through hardships and decide not to surrender, that is strength.